We'll call the meeting to order. This is the panel on constitutional affairs, and we are holding a public hearing. We want to listen to the views of the deputations and individuals concerning the method for selecting the CE in 2017. Now, this is the third session, and it will last from 1 to 3 p.m. We have a total of 38 organizations and individuals who have signed up for this session. And in accordance with the list of attendees, I will invite you to speak one by one. Each of you will be given 3 minutes. And when 3 minutes are up, you will hear a sound to remind you that you should stop speaking. If you haven't given us your submission, please give it to us after the meeting, because your submission will be circulated to members. And I would like to remind you that when you attend our public hearing and express your opinions, you do not enjoy the protection under the Legislative Council Powers and Privileges Ordinance.
The submissions you have given is not covered by the LCPNP ordinance. Well, you have to speak closer to the microphone so that we can hear you clearly. And if you can't hear us, or if you would like to listen to interpretation, then you can put on your earpiece. We have Cantonese, English, and Putonghua. And I'd like to remind members that we have given you a notice. And please pay attention to the arrangements. After deputations and individuals have spoken, I will ask the Secretary to give a brief reply. Depending on how much time we have, maybe members have questions to ask, and they may do so. Let's begin. Mr. C. James C. The implementation of the Universal Suffrage in 2017 is something I am hoping for. So are my colleagues in my company. And I have a number of points to make. That is, it has to be done in accordance with the August MPCSC decision and also the basic law. Otherwise, we will not have a basis for discussion. Two, the nomination committee will have to be formed by the 4 sectors and the subsectors, altogether 1,200 people. And they will nominate the potential candidates for voting by eligible voters in Hong Kong. We do not agree with expanding the corporate votes to individual votes because we have to protect the interest of the board. And if we have a chance to vote for our chief executive, this will be a breakthrough. In a lot of other places, they spend over 100 years before they can get what we have. And a lot of legislators misled Hong Kong people that we have to take reference from the international standard. When Bush and Gore were running for the election, Gore actually had more support. However, in the end, Bush won the election. So is it in line with international standard? This is more advanced and is more in line with public aspiration. We will have a nominating committee with a broad representativeness, nominating 3 people. And these 3 people will have to be baptized by eligible voters in Hong Kong. If they do not have public mandate, they will not be returned. So that Any suggestions otherwise is misleading facts of misleading information of the election. We have to endeavor to improve it so that in 2017 we will have universal suffrage for the CE. You are the legislators. You should have the interests of Hong Kong people in your heart. You should not waste your valuable vote. We should not waste another 5 years and to remain in a standstill. We should not give up on the 2017 universal suffrage because everyone would lose. I'm a middle-aged youth, so I hope that the expansion of the subsectors may be expanded by phases in the end. There will be one vote for youngsters. Thank you. Ms. Ching. Well, I will have to first ask a question about entering this council. Well, you have 3 minutes. If you ask a question, then you won't have as much time to make your submission. First, well, a telescopic umbrella is seen as an item that may pose as a hazard. I am not affiliated with any groups, political parties, not influenced by external forces. I was born and bred here. The first step of the 5-step mechanism is for the CE to submit a report to the NPCSC to see if there is any need for an amendment of the universal suffrage of CE and the formation of LegCo. This is flawed because this CE report fails to reflect Hong Kong people's grievance about the small number, that is the 1,200 people in the nominating committee. We ask for a genuine right to stand in an election and a genuine right to vote with no screening. We've been waiting for 20 years. We've had this 1,200 nominating committees pushed down our throat. We have someone who is greedy and someone who is a wolf. Well, if we continue to have the 1,200 people, we will have a Hong Kong version, Bo Xi Lai, Hong Kong version, Lin Jihua, or Hong Kong version of Cui Cai Ho. We don't want someone to make the decision for us. I believe that every eligible voter in Hong Kong have the ability to make their own decisions. However, our views are not accepted by C.Y. Leung, our so-called chief executive. And this view is not truly reflected to the NPCSC. That's why we have the framework set down in the August NPCSC decision. Screening itself is contrary to what Hong Kong people hope for. And we have screening, and you want to cheat people, to ask Hong Kong people to just pocket it first. This is shameless. And you want us to engage in a discussion with you about this bogus universal suffrage. This is outrageous. It's just like you have come up with a fake banknote and ask us to use it and ask us to discuss to improve this fake banknote. A 5-year-old can tell you that faking is against the law. Our conscience tells us that it is wrong to do so. We ask C.Y. Leung to step down because he's incompetent, he has no moral, he cannot reflect Hong Kong people's view, and we ask lawmakers to veto this August NPCSC framework and to have the 5 steps restarted again, and there should be one country, 2 system, and we should have Hong Kong people ruling Hong Kong, and so that in the next CE election we have a right to vote and right to stand in an election. Next, Ms. Yao Mei Po. I'm not affiliated with to any parties, political parties, born and bred here, not subject to influence of external forces. I love Hong Kong and I love our mainland, and I do not love the Cultural Revolution. I do not love the Chinese Communist mainland after June 4th, 1989. I want all of us to be selfless. I want a genuine ICAC. I want Hong Kong people to answer to their conscience. I want an impartial and a police force with integrity. First, this morning, someone said that yellow is superficial, and Hong Kong people are Chinese, and we have yellow skin, and we can't shed our skin and deny the fact that we are Chinese people. I ask the Chief Executive to give us genuine universal suffrage, to give genuine one person, one vote to Hong Kong. CY Leung should step down immediately and have the Legco disbanded. All officials, legislators, they have failed their jobs. Over the years, they have failed to provide a good environment for Hong Kong people. There are still people in their 70s or 80s scavenging, scrambling for cardboard papers. You think this is what we should see in the 21st century? This is shameful. FC should be abolished, and there should not be any restrictions to only have 2 or 3 candidates for us to vote on. Give Hong Kong youngsters a chance to love Hong Kong. Give them a place to build a good future, so that we will have freedom of expression, so that we have true autonomy. And I ask Mr. Xi Jinping to come to Hong Kong to witness a truly democratic election in Hong Kong with expression of freedom of expression. I ask state leader to give Hong Kong people a chance to develop a truly democratic society, so that Hong Kong will have true freedom, so that the democracy and freedom in Hong Kong will be spread to the whole of mainland. If China is to be a genuine, powerful country, to be a genuine republic, then Hong Kong, China needs prosperity, and its citizens should enjoy freedom. And this is what Sun Yat-sen advocated for. Ms. Ching, Ms. Yao, you have spoken. Would you please put your placard down? Thank you. Next, Mr. So Wing Chong. Good afternoon, everyone. I support the NPCSC August decision. What I'm going to say are in the submission I've given them to the Legco, including the 4 sectors and the 1,200 member nominating committee. I would like to explain why I support this. Hong Kong is a pluralistic society with different voices. No matter how you change it, it will be impossible to please everyone. However, progress is better than nothing.
Well, we can treat Hong Kong as if it were a young kid. Now, we want this kid to grow up healthily, but different people have different views. For example, the grandparents, parents, doctors, they all have their views concerning the growth of this child. So how can this child grow up in a healthy and happy manner? There is no consensus among all the people that are concerned about this child. So I think no matter what, we should move forward. If we can have 1 person, 1 vote in 2017, that is a progress. And a lot of things can be fine-tuned afterwards. But if we do not take this step, if we negative it, then we will have nothing. All Hong Kong people will lose. And how should I put it? I wasn't familiar with this kind of things before, so I do not speak that fluently. However, I think the government put up a very good API some time ago. We have witnessed several elections. Mr. Tong Chi-Hwa, Mr. Donald Chang, and Mr. CY Leung, they were selected by 1,200 people. Now we can have 1 person, 1 vote. I think we should support it. We should take this step. I still have some time left, and I would like to thank you all. Next, Ms. Jenny Chen, Mr. Tam, Mr. Lau, Mr. Chan. My name is Chen Yuk-Oh. I am the Vice Chairman of the Love China Hong Kong Alliance of Youth Cultural Societies. We support Civil Island, we support the housing program of Civil Island, we support the establishment of the Innovation and Technology of Bureau so that Hong Kong can be led by more scientists and the young people can have better aspirations. Because I go into constitutional reform, I want to condemn the people playing behind the stage, and they are manufacturing tainted oil, and that's conspiration. Trying to hurt the family of Kwok Ping Kong. You haven't thought about all those conspiration behind that. Well, people be so retarded so that they would put money into the accounts of these people. This is so simple. I think Mr. Kwok's company has never received any bribes. I don't think you should just look at the superficial things. You have to look at the things that are behind the scenes. I think there is a bad guy playing behind the scene, and a lot of people are being smeared by him. And Mr. Kwok Ping Kong should be vindicated. He is now framed. A lot of this is what I want to do, and I'm now speaking for the truth. I want to disclose this conspiracy. You are fighting among yourselves, and you have this black hand playing behind the scene, and a lot of people jump to their death. A lot of people have heart attacks, elevators break down, and firemen also injured in fire accidents. These are all conspiracies. You must come to your senses. And there are people advocating the independence of Hong Kong. This is outrageous. This is because of the educational system in Hong Kong. After the handover of Hong Kong, the educational system has not been handed back to China, and now you are trying to subvert the country. According to the MPCSC August decision and the basic law, true democracy will be brought to Hong Kong. Having universal suffrage is better than having no universal suffrage. The MPCSC decision is a great one. It can assure the long-term stability and prosperity of Hong Kong. Think about this opportunity. Now, for the 5 million voters in Hong Kong, it is the first time that they can cast a vote in the CE election. Next, Mr. Chen Kun-hong, I think that for the universal suffrage, it has to be done in accordance with the universal suffrage, and all this have to be done in accordance with the basic law, and the MPCSC has made a decision concerning this. This is the most practical way forward. This is in line with the Constitution, with the mainstream opinions of Hong Kong people. The basic law comes from the Constitution. The Constitution and the basic law are promulgated by the NPC. Therefore, this proposal is in line with our Constitution. Over 1.8 million citizens have signed their names. They agree to this proposal. This is the first time that we can have one person, one vote. I think this is most democratic. You must adhere to mainstream opinion. 1.8 million people have signed their names, and the 18 district councils have also endorsed this. They endorse that we should seize this opportunity, and we should implement universal suffrage in accordance with the basic law. We must seize this opportunity. We only have 1 month or so left. We should take part in the consultation. We should forge consensus so that we can have universal suffrage in 2017. And Hong Kong's constitutional developments can move forward. We should adhere to the 5-step process. The CE should make a report to the MPCSC. That's the first step. And then for the second step, the MPCSC will make a determination. Now we are having the second round of public consultation in June this year. The Legislative Council will be examining the consultation results, and I hope that a proposal will be passed by Legislative Council. We must support the basic law, and I hope the legislative members will make a responsible decision, and they should reflect the views of Hong Kong people so that we can have the first universal suffrage in Hong Kong. Now we are moving towards the third step. After the first round of consultation, we have already heard a lot of views. Now we should look at the nomination threshold. That is 100 NC members should be able to nominate candidates, or people who are running for the election should be allowed to express their views, telling people their platforms. Now we must make a good start. Otherwise, there will be no hope. So for our association, the Hong Kong Starfire Network Association, we stand with Hong Kong people. We think universal suffrage should be implemented as soon as possible. Next, Mr. Fang Weiqi. The Basic Law has already stipulated the election or the selection of the CE, and also the MPCSC has made a decision on the 31st of August. Rules have already been set. We must adhere to such rules, otherwise an election will be chaotic. Now there are a lot of people who have different views, but a lot of people are trying to bring more chaos to Hong Kong. Also, people are calling for authentic universal suffrage or genuine universal suffrage. But for those people, they are shouting slogans as if they were in the Cultural Revolution, but they are saying that they are against the Cultural Revolution. I really don't think they should say such things. I think there should be less disputes in Hong Kong, and there should be more construction and welfare for the Hong Kong people. Now the MPCSC has already set a framework, yet we still have a lot of room for discussion, for example, concerning public acceptance, concerning nomination, composition of NCs, etc. We still have a lot of choices. We can still come up with a democratic procedure. I believe Hong Kong people would understand this. Just now, a lot of people have expressed their views. They say that now, if we look at the NC and the present, well, we should form an NC by making reference to the existing composition of the election committee. I think this is reasonable. This practice has been accepted by Hong Kong people for a long time. If we do not do this, it will not be conducive to Hong Kong's long-term stability and prosperity. And I think the nomination threshold can be lowered a bit. For example, 100 NC members should be enough for nominating a candidate. By doing so, the number of candidates can increase. And it will be broadly representative. I believe capable candidates it would be very easy for capable candidates to meet such requirements. Next, Mr. Kwok Tek Leung. Thank you, Chairman. I am the chairman of the Hong Kong Real Estate Agents Association, and I'm also the chairman of a residents association in Sham Shui Po. So I represent the views of a number of people. I have certain views concerning our constitutional development. First of all, we support the SAR government for implementing constitutional reform. We want one person, one vote for returning our CE. We want a progress in our constitutional system. We do not want to come to a standstill. As for returning the CE by universal suffrage in 27, I think we should stick to the law. We should work in accordance with the basic law. Thirdly, when it comes to the 4 sectors under the SC, there are 38 subsectors. But I think we should increase the number of subsectors so that the NC can be more broadly representative and it can be accepted by more people. Then we will be having a more equal and universal suffrage. And for certain subsectors, the number of members should decrease. Some other more representative subsectors should be added. For example, real estate agents, SMEs, etc. Fourthly, concerning the method for nominating the CE, I think the NC should nominate candidates. 100 or 150 members should jointly nominate a person, and then a person can become a candidate. And we shouldn't have too many candidates. It would be more appropriate if we can have under 3 candidates. And lastly, I hope that we can discuss this in a peaceful and rational manner. Thank you, Chairman. Next, Mr. Hao Jiankao. Mr. Tam, Honorable Electoral Members, my name is Hao Jiankao. I come from Sham Shui Po District, and I feel honored that I can come to Electoral again to express my views on the constitutional development in Hong Kong. I'm just an ordinary citizen, and I would like to talk about 3 issues, and I also want to make a proposal today. But I only have 3 minutes. I don't think I can express all my views. I would like to make an application to the chairman so that I can be given more time. No, you are only given 3 minutes. Well, I can provide you with my opinions later, because I'm going to talk about facts. For the next CE election, some people are saying that this is a fake universal suffrage and they want a genuine universal suffrage. There is nothing known as fake or genuine. I think it's just a matter of perspective. All roads lead to Rome. We should discuss this in a peaceful manner, and I'm sure the government will come up with an ideal solution. And secondly, lately, it is said that the NPCSC decision has closed the door and is intervening in the internal policy of Hong Kong. No, I don't think the Central People's Government has closed the door. I think some people have closed the doors to themselves. It seems that they are giving themselves barriers. They are asking the CE to step down. They want the central leaders to apologize to them. This is impractical. So that's why our society is so torn apart. You are talking about your views and I'm expressing my opinions. And some people object just for the sake of objection. I remember when the Sino-British Declaration was signed, the Chinese government always said that that is, the sovereignty should be returned to China and Hong Kong will continue to be prosperous. There will not be any changes in Hong Kong for 50 years. Hong Kong people will be ruling Hong Kong and there will be a high degree of autonomy. I don't think the Central People's Government has gone back on its words.
Our bottom line should be drawn it should be done in accordance with the basic law. Proposals that are too vague is just a castle in the air, and no one will know what to do. I am part of Hong Kong, and I will not be happy about this. There are lots of people who are silent, but they have insight. And I want to talk about democratic progress. Your time's up. If you're given more time later, then you can continue. Next, Mr. Choi King Sing. Thank you. Thank you, officials. Thank you, members. Earlier, there was the Occupy movement in Hong Kong. It has torn the fabric of society. We are very sad. And what is actually the problem? The problem is that a small group of people would like to propose election methods for the CE, which circumvents the Basic Law and the MPCSC. Over the years, there has been publicity of the Basic Law, but that is not enough. A lot of people, especially youngsters, don't know the Basic Law very well. I've heard from a youngster at one point that the Basic Law was a result of a discussion between the UK government and the mainland government. It's nothing to do with Hong Kong. So they have no idea how the Basic Law was formulated. I hope that in this regard, the administration will strengthen the publicity of Basic Law, not just the name, but the content as well, so that our youngsters will know better about the Basic Law, that it is our institution, our constitution. We have to respect that. Anything that circumvents the Basic Law or distorts the Basic Law is unacceptable. This is a consultation about the election method of the CE. We have to set down the rules. I agree that it should be done on the basis of the Basic Law and the decision, the August decision of the MPCSC. And it should be progressive. We can do it step by step. Say, for example, the composition of the nominating committee, it should be based on the 4 sectors and 38 subsectors, like the election committee we have now. The electoral basis of the subsectors should be unchanged. As chief executive, should not be affiliated to any political parties. And these are points we have to keep in mind. The most important thing is that we have to implement Universal Suffrage for 2017 of the CE election. Next, Ms. Jennifer Yun. I'm just an ordinary citizen. I'm here to express my views. I'm a youngster. I support the August MPCSC decision because it is a huge step forward. Well, it's like a medium-sized or small-sized company. If you want to introduce reform, you have to You have to do it step by step. And now the nominating committee will have 1,200 people. Can the number be increased so that the voices of the people can be represented more? Can the number of subsectors or sectors be increased? I accept that there should be 2 to 3 candidates, because with more candidates, the issue will be more complicated. We'll have more choices, and that is a problem. It will first be selected by the 1,200 people for us to then choose. I think that is acceptable. I hope that more youngsters will have a chance to know about mainland more, because the reform is not just about Hong Kong, because any reform in Hong Kong will affect the situation on the mainland. Future constitutional reform. I'm not eloquent, and this is my personal view. And the most important thing is that we will have one person, one vote to select our chief executive. Next, Mr. Chuang, Albert Chuang. It seems that the biggest controversy is whether it is a genuine universal suffrage. But for every country or place, the situation of the place will have to be taken into account. That's why there are different election methods in different places. UK, US, Middle East. There is no international standard. Hong Kong is a special administrative region. We have one country, two system, high degree of autonomy, and Hong Kong people governing Hong Kong. And we have an election system that is within the framework of the Basic Law. And it should be improved in accordance with Basic Law provision. It should be progressive and gradual. And compared to the last election, this is a huge step forward. This is the first time where we have one person, one vote to select our chief executive. So I do think that we should collect as many views as possible, and reasonable proposals should be made. When it comes to the voting arrangements, I agree that for the first round, if there is not more than half of the votes, there should be a second round. With only one round, it's more simple and less resources will be required, but there is no guarantee that the chief executive return will have public mandate. With two rounds of voting, yes, we'll use more resources, but we can make sure that the CE return will have public mandate, which is conducive to public governance. And it should be done in accordance with the Basic Law and also the NPCSC decision. It should be in accordance with current guidelines in relation to the number in the nominating committee. In relation to the 38 subsectors, well, depending on the actual situation and after discussion, adjustments may be made. This is the only way when voices will be from different sectors will be heard, in order to achieve balanced participation. In relation to the nominating method, it should be done by the nominating committee, which is in line with the Basic Law. And a person will have to be nominated by at least 100 to 120 people before that person is allowed to stand in the election. Otherwise, there will not be sufficient representativeness. I hope that after the discussion this time, consensus will be forged and we can have 2017 CE election by universal suffrage, which will take Hong Kong to a different level. I hope that lawmakers will not be unrational and deprive Hong Kong people of the right to vote. This is a chance when we have a democracy. Hong Kong people will suffer. We don't have it. Yes. Mr. Mukachun, I am concerned about democratic development in Hong Kong. I am born in the 1990s. I have 4 points to make. First, when it comes to a constitutional reform or development, it should be done in line with the Basic Law and the framework of the NPCSC August decision. A lot of people are talking about whether the number of members in the nominating committee should be increased from 1,200. But we are only going to have the first universal suffrage. So the size of the first nominating committee should remain at 1,200, and the sectors and subsectors should not be changed because we only have very limited time. If we want to change anything, it will delay the progress. And in 2017, whether it's the central authorities or the Hong Kong SARG, they both said that this is not an ultimate option. We should take a first step and then have it improved later. A lot of pan-democrats think they will not be allowed to stand in the election. perhaps in the nominating process, there can be two stages. One is the recommendation, and the other one is the actual nomination. If you have 150 people in the nominating committee recommending you, you can become a candidate, and then you will publish your platform to get yourself known, and then there will be the proper nomination. And in the second stage, the number of candidates should be limited to 2 to 3. And in the election process, I suggest that it should be done by a certain method. And this design will ensure that is the instant runoff system, because this will ensure that the CE returned will have sufficient vote, and it will also save cost. And recently, there has been some people saying that there should be a final gatekeeping measure by blank vote system. I think this should not be discussed in this proposal. After we have a universal suffrage, this time we can work on improvement. And it seems that there are only 2 pan-democrats sitting here. And it's said that the 2017 universal suffrage is not the ultimate option. Why can't we have it first, only to work on it to improve it later? The pan-democrats, they have already participated in the Occupy movement. You think that by doing so, you'll be able to force the central authorities to withdraw its decision, and that proved to be futile. If we do not take forward the 2017 universal suffrage 5 years down the line, what bargaining power do you have to fight against the central authority? And what do you think you will have up your sleeve to get the genuine universal suffrage? I hope that Democrats, even those who are not sitting here, will accept my views. Next, Mr. Eddie Ting. I agree. I think we should seize the opportunity for the 2017 election, and it should be done in accordance with the NPCSC August decision and the Basic Law. We have to have this framework before we have legitimate universal suffrage. There are a few pan-democrats sitting here, only one, but I'd like to tell you that please don't be a killer of universal suffrage. If the Occupy movement cannot force the central authority to concede, I don't think you have anything else there is anything else that you can do. Discussions should be rational, and they should listen to Hong Kong people, including my own, that is in relation to the nominating committee. We need to have a nominating committee. And when it comes to the size of the committee, it should not be changed. Well, the number of subsectors can be reduced so that a new subsector of youth can be created so that their voices will be heard. And CE candidates will have to listen to the voices of young people. And the number of district councillors should be increased, because after 2017, all of them will be directly elected. And I hope that the number of DC members in the nominating committee will be increased from 120 to 200 to increase the mandate of the nominating committee. And I do not agree that corporate votes should be turned into practitioners' votes. For certain sectors, say for example catering, healthcare, and accounting sector, well, the people returned if changed to individual votes may not be desirable. When it comes to people who are allowed to join the race, and in relation to exit, there can be two different approaches. If you get a recommendation of 100 people, you can become a candidate of the CE, because this will increase competitiveness, and you will have to get at least half of the committee's votes before you are allowed to before you will become a candidate in the CE election. And 2 to 3 candidates is actually suitable.
Mr. Chen Shui-on. Thank you, Chairman. My name is Chen Shui-on. I've been working in the construction industry in Hong Kong for decades. First of all, I support the NPCSC August 31st decision and the Basic Law. This should be the phases for selecting the CE by Universal Suffrage in Hong Kong, and I think the NC should maintain the present composition of the EC. We should maintain the 38 subsectors, and we should have a one-person, one-vote system. The candidate that gets the most votes will be elected. As on a construction site, you know that you have to build a foundation first, and then you build the first story, second story, etc., etc. So you have to do things in accordance with the principle of gradual and orderly progress. We have many skyscrapers in Hong Kong. Hong Kong's prosperity and stability all hinge on this. We all have to work hard. We all have to work pragmatically, and we all have to move forward in a gradual and orderly manner. I hope that we can all cherish the present situation in Hong Kong. Thank you. Next, Mr. Kenneth Lee. I personally agree that the method for selecting the CE should be in line with the Basic Law as well as the August 31st NPCSC decision. As for the composition of the NC, there should be 1,200 members. And also, we should have 4 sectors and 38 subsectors. I think this is appropriate at the moment. We don't have a lot of time left before we reach 2017. So this system is in line with the present situation. I think this is the first step. And I also think that 2 to 3 CE candidates would be an appropriate number, because that will give people appropriate choice, and we won't have too many candidates. Otherwise, that will lead to a lot of disputes. And I also agree that for those who are interested in running for the CE, they can apply to the NC, and after verification of their identity, they can join the race. And if they can get the endorsement of over 200 NC members, then they can officially become CE candidates. And then among these CE candidates, the NC will choose again, and if they can garner over 600 NC members' votes, then they can officially run for the election. This is my personal suggestion. And for the CE candidate, he should not have any political party affiliation, and of course he must be a Hong Kong permanent resident, and he should be willing to pledge allegiance to the state and to Hong Kong people as well as the Basic Law. This the commitments that a CE should have. And also on behalf of my organization, that is Hong Kong Shanghai Youth Exchange Promotion Association, and also on behalf of the young Hong Kong people that are working in Shanghai now, I would like to call on LegCo members to endorse the Universal Suffrage proposal. Thank you. Next, Ms. Lo Kong. I'm just an ordinary mother. I have 2 teenager children. I hope stability can be maintained in Hong Kong. Previously, something happened in Hong Kong. Originally, I pay no attention to politics, but today I would still want to speak my mind. With regard to the NC, I think there should be 1,200 members. The 4 sectors of the EC should be maintained, 300 members in each sector, and the 38 sub-sectors should also be maintained. There shouldn't be any change. Reform should come slowly. We don't want changes overnight. As for the NC's nomination of CE candidates, I think first of all we should have a members' recommendation, and then we should have members' nomination. As for the recommendation stage, 150 members should jointly recommend a person. Then the person can become a CE candidate. One member can only recommend one person. So that person can get 300 votes at most. As for the second stage, it should be anonymous, and each member should have 3 votes. In the candidates list, the one NC member can choose 2 to 3 persons. The person that gets the most votes, and if he gets over half of the NC votes, then he can officially become a candidate. And the term of the CE should be kept at 5 years. There should not be any change. This is my view. Thank you. Mr. Paul Lau. Thank you. I completely support the basic law, and I also support the MPCSC's August 31st decision. Now, in the government's second round consultation documents, I would like to express my views as follows. As for the composition of the NC, it should be in line with the present composition of the present EC. That is, there should be 4 sectors and 38 subsectors. As for the number of members of each subsector, it should be the same as the present arrangement. The electorates of the 38 subsectors should not be changed either. So there should be a recommendation stage and a nomination stage. If a person is recommended by 150 NC members, then he can become a candidate. Each member can recommend 1 candidate, and then a vote. There should be a round of voting. The one who gets the most votes, and having over half of the NC members' endorsement, then he can become an official candidate. The NC should conduct a plenary session for nomination. The candidates should be given the opportunity to explain their platforms to the public. As for NC members' terms, it should be 5 years, so that if the office of the CE is left vacant and if a by-election has to be held, the NC can still function. And then the CE should be selected by universal suffrage through a 1 person, 1 vote. But if the CE elect is not appointed by the CPG, the NC should restart the process, and the present CE election ordinance should be amended. If this happens, a by-election has to be held. In the present CE election ordinance, the CE should not have any political party affiliation, and this should be maintained. As for the composition of the NC, they should have. Your time is up, Mr. Franco. When after the 79 days Occupy movement, the government starts a new round of public consultation. However, the opposition party insists on their resistance principles, and they refuse to make any compromise. So a number of people have suggested other views, for example, using a blank vote to express their views, etc. But I don't think we should take any of this into consideration. I think we can only work in accordance with the basic law and the MPCSA decision, and we should adopt a practical manner. The MPC decision cannot be shaken, and this is our major principle. However, there are still certain areas that we can discuss. As for entering the race, should we maintain the 150 members threshold, or should we reduce to 1/10, 1/12, etc.? I think that more people should be allowed to enter the race so that they can be given the opportunity to tell us their aspirations and what's their views concerning the governance of Hong Kong will be. And about the number of candidates, should we have 2, 3, or 2 to 3? I think we should have 2 to 3 candidates. I don't think we should have a rigid rules stipulating that there should be exactly 2 or exactly 3. I think this should be left to the decision of the NC. And thirdly, how can eventually have the have our candidates nominated? We have all sorts of ways to do it. However, the precondition is that we must ensure that these candidates would have the endorsement of over half of the NC members. And if it is a blank vote system, I don't think it's that ideal, so I do not agree to that. However, if they are only allowed to choose one of them, it seems that they are having an election earlier than the election time. So I think that 2 to 3 votes should be the best way so that the NC can have bigger flexibility. And as for the last stage, it should be a one person, one vote universal suffrage. Should we have 2 rounds? I think an instant runoff system would be the best. We should not rely on the majority vote system because you may remember that when Chen Shui-bian was running for the election, this was the way they used, and he won the election by having only a very small number of votes. I don't think we should give up our present opportunity. Next, Mr. Chen Chun. I think that we should comply with the basic law and the MPCSC August decision. As for the NC, it should be formed in accordance with the composition of the EC, that is 4 sectors and 38 subsectors. We should stick to the old practice when it comes to nomination. And for the NC members, each member can only nominate 2 to 3 persons. So after nomination, a person must get over half of the NC members' endorsement before he can really run for the election. In the year 2017, the 7 million voters in Hong Kong can take part in the election. I hope that this opportunity would not be wasted. I hope logical members can endorse the government's proposal. And I have another point to make. The CPG has the right to appoint the CE in Hong Kong. So after being elected, the candidate has to be, or the CE-elect has to be appointed by the CPG. if the CE-elect is not appointed by the CPG, then there will be a major constitutional crisis in Hong Kong. So I think there should be a new arrangement for by-election.
When a CE is elected, well, that CE should not be affiliated to any political parties. And when it comes to the nominating committee, Article 44 of the Basic Law should be abided by. That is, the CE is accountable to the central authorities and Hong Kong people. Hong Kong people living overseas should be given a chance to vote. And that's all I want to say. Thank you. Mr. Ho. Ho Chiu Shik. Well, I'm in the stationery and publication business. I have 3 points to make. That is, in 2017, Universal Suffrage for Chief Executive. What we've been quibbling about is about the international standard. We should not argue about that. The functional constituency has been operating for many years. It's been well practiced, and Hong Kong people are very familiar with it, and there is public mandate. And in 2017, this will be the first time in history when all eligible voters will vote to return a chief executive. This is in accordance with the Basic Law and the MPCSC August decision. On the 29th of December, it was passed in the 31st plenary MPCSC session. So a decision has already been made. Occupy Central has wasted a few months of our time. We have less time. So we can't change the 38 subsectors and the number of and the size of the nominating committee. The administration should step up its publicity of the Basic Law. We have stability because of the Basic Law. Don't listen to people when they tell you about the international standard, because there is no such thing. There is no standard about nomination. In the US, a candidate is nominated by the political party. Next, Mr. Lemon Fai. Thank you. I'm here to talk about my view of the universal suffrage of the chief executive. There has been a number of constitutional reform, and I've been here several times. This time is different because there is no pan-democrats, whereas in the case in the past, they were here. They said they support universal suffrage, but they're not here to listen to people's views. I find it regrettable. They should listen to views, even views that are different from theirs, because it's their duty as a lawmaker to listen to our views. So people are very disappointed. Alan Leung was here, but he was the last one and he left. In 1988, I ran for the district council election, and then later I participated in the geographical constituency of the LegCo as well. So it should be gradual and progressive. Well, I participated in the municipal council as well. And in the past, only lawyers, teachers were voters, but later it was expanded, the electoral base. So it's gradual and progressive. It's been over 10 years since the reunification. It feels like it's a long time. But if you look at other places, can you find another place when they only have to spend 17 years before they have direct election, universal suffrage? In polls and from many different channels, you find that people would like to have one person, one vote. Whether it is genuine universal suffrage or not, as long as every voter can cast a vote, it is the road down the path of universal suffrage. So this is already the third step. We need their votes. Don't disappoint Hong Kong people. Give Hong Kong people a chance to vote. Well, there are many views, and I have a number of other points to make. Well, now we have a pan-democrat coming here to listen to us. Being gradual and progressive is very important. I hope pan-democrats will put their difference down and support it and listen to Hong Kong people. Mr. Lee Im-hong. When I walked in, I heard from Ms. Yao and Ms. Ching that they don't want 102,000 people selecting a chief executive for us. I think it's not just the wish of the two ladies. It's actually the wish of majority of Hong Kong people. We don't want 1,200 people to decide the future for all 7 million people. This is a golden opportunity for us to make some changes. Then why don't they support this proposal in which 5 million eligible voters can select our chief executive? That is mind-boggling. And they have given some contradictory points. I don't know what's universal suffrage. Neither can I tell whether it's a bogus one. But if we endorse the 2017 proposal, 5 million voters can choose our chief executive. We have 7 million people, and 5 million people can choose. You say that this is bogus? You say that these 5 million people are blind? I hope the pan-democrats will not get in the way of constitutional development of Hong Kong. In relation to the selection method of the chief executive, well, I agree with most of the views. This is an election for Hong Kong people. I have given my submission. We have to give more power to voters. We can have a first past the post system, and the person who gets more than half of the half of the votes will be returned. If the number of votes is less than half, then we should have another round, the second round of voting. If there is only one candidate, then we can cast a vote of confidence or no confidence to decide whether that person will be returned. Why did no one talk about it? Thank you. Ms. Wong Pen. I represent Tuen Mun District Women's Association Limited. I agree that the Chief Executive's Universal Suffrage for in 2017 should be done in accordance with the Basic Law and the NPCSC decision. And in relation to the proposals made by the Pan Democrats, well, I have something to say. Composition of the nominating committee should be done in accordance with the 4 sectors and 38 subsectors. That is the current approach. The number of the committees in the 38 subsectors will have to be done in accordance with the existing arrangements, because this practice has been in place for a number of years. This is a stable system and widely accepted by Hong Kong people. 2017 is the first time when we have one person, one vote to return as Chief Executive. In the Occupy movement in September last year, it has torn the fabric of society and has wasted a lot of time. So keeping the status quo is a pragmatic approach. And in relation to the 38 subsectors, the number of representatives of women is just 15%. Say, for example, in the first sector, 29 women. In the second sector, out of 365 women. In the third sector, 299 members, only 35 women. So we hope that in 2017, there will be more members in the nominating committee. There will be more people running for the subsector election. Maybe the percentage of women members can be increased to 30%. And when we reach a mature stage, maybe in the third sector, we can have a sector for women and youngsters with 60 members. And this is my view. And well, I will give you the rest of my views in my written submission. After Occupy Central, Hong Kong people's faith have been shaken. The second stage consultation should start as soon as possible. We are looking forward to universal suffrage. We think that we should not blindly follow the international standard. The actual situation of that place should be taken into account in formulating the election method of that place. And it should be done after discussion and after taking into account the different interests of different sectors. It should be implemented in a stable and progressive way. And it should be done in accordance with the August NPCSC decision and the Basic Law. We think at this stage, maintaining stability is very important. And there isn't much time for discussion for 2017 CEE election. If we discussed about the composition of the nominating committee and the sectors and subsectors, we will lose more time.
So maybe we should make reference to the current provisions regarding the EC. As for the NC's term, it should be 5 years. In case the post of the CE is left vacant by election, can be organized in time. We hope that women members and youth members can be added to certain subsectors, but we understand that this has to be discussed in the community for quite some time. So I think for the next round of consultation, maybe this can be included. As for the CE, he must love Hong Kong and love the country. Hong Kong is part of China, is an international financial center. The CE does not only represent Hong Kong, he also represents the interest of China. Lately, people have been talking about Hong Kong independence and Hong Kong people deciding their own fate. If the CE fights against the CPG, Hong Kong's long-term development, stability and prosperity will definitely be undermined, and even national security will be threatened. So when it comes to selecting CE, we should avoid 2 rounds of voting because that will be a waste of resources and time. If the CE elect is not appointed by the CPG, the NC should restart the whole procedure. Thank you. Mr. Lai Chi-man. Thank you, Chairman. I speak on behalf of the Hong Kong Islands District Association. First of all, I would like to thank the legislative members here. You are good legislators. You are listening to the views of people. These are our views. As the basic law has already stipulated the requirements for the CE, and Article 45 has already have stipulations concerning the selection of the CE. So I think we should adhere to the 5-step process. In the basic law, there are points that are not explicitly stipulated. So I think we should look at the mainstream views of the people, and improvements should be made step by step. First of all, I think we should adhere to the NPCSC's decision on the 31st of August. As for the NC, after the handover, the sectors have undergone certain changes. However, the present composition is still very practical and useful, and the subsectors also reflect the genuine situation in Hong Kong. So for this term, we think that we should maintain the number of NC members at 1,200, and also number of members of each subsectors can be maintained. In the following years, we can progress in a gradual and orderly manner, and eventually we hope that the NC member can increase to 2,400. Now we have 38 subsectors. I hope this can be maintained for this term, or for the next term. And in the future, after monitoring the situation, we can gradually increase the number of women and young members, and the NC would even be more representative then. The threshold should not be set at too high a level. If 10% NC members endorse a person, and the person can become a candidate, and the optimal number of candidates should be 2 to 3, then we can focus on comparing the platforms of different candidates. During election, first of all, we should look at the qualifications of these people. That is, the NCs should vote on each person that's interested. If a person gets the endorsement of over half of the NC members, then he can officially become a candidate. Now I will give some time for Hong Hock Sam. Thank you, Chairman. If we have to work within the framework of the August 31st NPCSC decision, I think there is still room for us to make improvements. I think we have to respect the NPCSC's authority and decision. As for the agriculture and fisheries subsector, they have 40 members, and there are a lot of views against this because they account for a small part of our GDP, but they have 60 members. So I think it should be cut by half or cut by 40 seats, and we should give seats to young people, women, or the ethnic minorities so that the electorate can be increased, and also we can win the support of pan-democrats. And also this is in line with the grand direction of the CPG. As for corporate votes, if we can reach a consensus in the community, and if the CPG does not object to this, and if we have the consent of pan-democrats, maybe the corporate votes can be changed to director votes. And for the recommendation stage, 150 members threshold would be appropriate. Thank you. Honourable Secretary, do you want to make a response? Thank you, Chairman. I would like to thank the representatives for coming to the public hearing. You have given us very precious views. Just now, some of you said that in the world there is nothing known as international standards. Each country has its own political system. Yes, we totally agree to that. Now we have the basic law and the NPCSC decisions, and in 2 years' time we can select the CE by universal suffrage. That's already within our reach. I don't think we should waste time discussing what is the international standard. A decision has already been made. Some representatives have also said that it's better to have progress than have no progress. Some people object to an impasse, and some of you said that now we are entering a new era of universal suffrage. Yes, these are also the views of the SARG. Some of you hopes that certain subsectors can have their members increase or decrease. We have put down all your views. And several of you have made a point, and I think we can also talk a bit about this point. That is about recommendation by 100 or 150 NC members. And then for official candidates, the number should be 2 to 3, etc. In the past, we haven't had this stage. When it comes to the future design, we hope that there can be a longer period of time during which the candidates would not only face the 1,200 NC members, but they can also face all Hong Kong citizens. There should be a competition period. This will be a keen competition. In the past, they only had to face the 1,200 members. These 1,200 people nominated them and selected them. However, this time around, there's a recommendation period and also there's the nomination period, so they would have to face all the Hong Kong citizens. And then, as a candidates, they would have to go out to society and get their votes. I am sure this competition will be keener than the elections in the past, and the acceptability of the CE elect will be much higher. So I hope that you can all cherish this opportunity. And with this double competitions, I'm sure we will come up with a very good CE. And 2 ladies made views, and although they have left now, I still would like to respond to them. They mentioned that in the previous terms, the elections were controlled by 1,200 people, and they were forced to swallow it. Yes, if it's an election by 1,200 people, there may be a lot of drawbacks. So that's why we want to have a change in nature this time around, so that we And we are now putting forward a one-person, one-vote system. If you veto these proposals, then in 2017 we will still have a 1,200 people election. If you object to a 1,200 people election, you should really support the government's proposal. Some people ask if the 5-step process can be restarted. The CS and her team have reiterated that for this term of government, because now we are already in the 3rd step of the 5-step process, so it is impossible for us to restart the whole process. In other words, this term of government cannot restart the 5-step process. So definitely in 2017, the CE can only be selected by 1,200 people, and only by then can the new CE restart the 5-step process. So if you do not support the 1,200 people election, then you should really support our proposal. And also another lady mentioned the core value of Hong Kong. She hopes that FCs can be abolished. It's exactly because of this. Now, if you really want to make progress in the area of FC abolition and the democratic formation of LegCo, you should support our present proposal. The NPCSC has already made a decision. If we pass this 27 CE election proposal, afterwards you can explore the possibility of returning all LegCo members by universal suffrage. So if you want double universal suffrage, today is the right time to support our proposal. And I would like to respond to another representative. Of course, we will do things in accordance with the law and in accordance with people's aspirations. We also call on LegCo members to do this. I totally agree with you. Yes, of course, we have to do things in a lawful manner. The NPCSC has made a decision in accordance with the basic law. Public sentiments, public opinions are, of course, important. We have seen different opinion polls in the community. Over 50% of the citizens hope that the present proposal can be passed so that they can enjoy one person, one vote. However, eventually, what will happen, it will depend on the decision of the 70 LegCo members. That is step 3. So for those who have been silent, I hope you can speak your minds now. For those who objected to this proposal, I hope you can try to understand the proposal more. Please try to think with a clear head. It's better having a universal suffrage than no universal suffrage. Does any member want to ask questions? Please raise your hands. Ms. N. Chiang, Mr. Chen Kam Lam. Any other? No? 5 minutes each. And Mr. Ho Jun Yin. Ms. N. Chiang. Thank you, Chairman. Just now I've heard the views of the representatives. This morning I was here also, and I also had a lot of views. Most of the speakers hope that universal suffrage can be implemented in 2017. They also point out that this new proposal is a major improvement when it's compared to the present system. It's more open, it's more democratic. I just visited Sham Shui Po and I talked to the Gai Fong there. A lot of the Gai Fong are yearning for universal suffrage in 2017. As the Undersecretary said just now, it's better to have universal suffrage than having no universal suffrage. Well, if I can cast a vote, then the CE would be more concerned about us. He would visit some Shui-Po more often. He would look at the streets there, the sewage system there, etc., because he wants to get votes from us. So the Kaifang has asked me to do this. That is, I should help convince LegCo members. And I say, LegCo members like us already support this, but some members who belong to the pan-democratic camp still have reservation. So, Under Secretary, what should we do? You talked about opinion poll. You say that over 50% of the citizens support the government's proposal. So can we increase it a bit, like to 60%? If they see this is the mainstream view of the people, maybe they will be more willing to listen to the views of people.
Under Secretary. Yes, a lot of opinion polls show what you said, show what the member said. We would like to get more support. That's why in the second stage we have left no stone unturned. We appeared on television shows, we went to districts, and we organized public hearings like this one, so that we will give a lot of opportunities for members, for the people to speak their mind, and a chance for us to explain what is the merit of having it endorsed and what is the disadvantage of having it vetoed. I believe that lawmakers are elected so they fully understand what the meaning of an election. I think they have the wisdom to cast the right vote. Knowing full well that they should consider the interest of Hong Kong people. We have a few months. Ms. Chang, we will work together, and I hope that members will voice their opinion so that their rights will not be their rights will not be taken away. Next, Mr. Chen Kam Lam. First, I thank those who attended the public consultation, the public hearing. You have given us a lot of valuable input. Majority of the views expressed say that constitutional reform on the CE election should be done in accordance with the Basic Law and the NPCSC decisions. We are a society with a rule of law. Of course, doing things in accordance with the law is a premise, because if we don't do so, we will never get started. The 79-day Occupy movement has torn society apart. It has also affected Hong Kong people's lives, the economy of Hong Kong people, and Hong Kong as a whole. We have to learn from this. And those two who came in yellow said that they would like Hong Kong to be prosperous and stable. We find it regrettable that because of political issues, some people resorted to illegal actions, and they even stormed the government. They have disrupted Hong Kong's the order of Hong Kong. Is it a good thing? I believe that Hong Kong people have seen it, and they know. They know that this is something we don't want. Recently, we heard people say that if we pocket this proposal, it will stay forever. And I can say that this is just fear-mongering and is misleading. The central authorities and the Hong Kong SARG have never said that this is the ultimate scheme and that there won't be any improvements. And I heard from those who have spoken today that this is the first step. We may have to take many steps to get democracy, to get full democracy. And improvements will be made in accordance with the changing situation. We've heard a lot of useful views today. If you say you want genuine universal suffrage, you don't want a fake one. But what is a genuine one? Is civil nomination a genuine one? Pan-Democrats fielded a candidate in the past, but there was screening among themselves. So was that genuine universal suffrage? Do they think that a standstill is a genuine universal suffrage? Through calm and rational discussion, you will see what is genuine aspiration for democracy. This is a mirror that shows the true colors of true Democrats and fake Democrats. We have to differentiate. If we are to take a step forward, we need consensus. You can't say that if we need to have a tailor-made proposal for us to ensure that we can field the candidate. Otherwise, it's not a genuine universal suffrage. And I'd like to say that there is no international standard when it comes to universal suffrage. Every country formulates its own electoral system in accordance with their own situation. So we have to work with the central authorities for democratic election. Mr. Stephen Ho. Thank you. I thank members for coming to the LegCo to express your views. I believe that different countries, different places have different situations. As a result, there are different electoral systems. In the US, they have an election for their presidency. In the UK, they have the House of Lords and the House of Commons. We've chosen the option of a nominating committee, subcommittees, the sectors and subsectors. This is in line with consensus of various sectors and is shown from what we've heard today. There are many different paths to democracy. The government should know that they need to listen to different views and they should be able to differentiate correct views from incorrect ones. Some people talk about genuine universal suffrage and fake ones. This is a pseudo proposition. Only legal elections or proposals can take you to genuine universal suffrage. Illegal ones will take you nowhere. I would like to hear from the Undersecretary. If we do not follow the basic law, what will our next step be? And if we follow the basic law, will we have the next step? Someone mentioned about the 4 sectors, especially the agricultural and fisheries sector. There are different elections, direct ones, indirect ones, and those ones that are put in place after negotiation. Nothing is perfect. There are indirect elections in our sector. We have over 1 million practitioners. People criticize us for having 60 seats. And someone also mentioned about GDP. There should be primary, secondary, and tertiary production. There are 60 seats in the egg and fish sector. We only account for 5%. If the number of seats of the sector is further reduced, then our voices will not be represented. This will be unfair. You may get the impression that the number of seats in my sector is controversial. We have an indirect election. This is our weakness. We will use different ways to explain to you why we need this kind of election. It's because we have a very wide scope. There are 6,500 fishing vessels. And there are only 30 chicken farms. If it's one person, one vote, there will be a different kind of unfairness. Because I only have to approach fishermen. I don't have to talk to the chicken farmers. This is a system to achieve balanced participation. There are 4 sectors. You know that you have to know what these 4 sectors are. When it comes to GDP, the first and the second sectors. We may not be the third sector, but we have higher GDPs than the sports sector, than the social welfare sector. So the egg and fish sector is not the one with the lowest GDP. The opposition has been bombarding us about this. It's because they don't understand our system. I hope you understand. Does any other member wish to speak or ask questions? There is a Mr. Hao Chen Kao. He would like to say something. Would a member like to give his time to Mr. Hao to speak? Ms. Chang. Mr. Hao, you have something to add? Please go ahead. Mr. Hao. Thank you. Well, I'll now move on to my third point. I myself support gradual and orderly progress. We have made a lot of progress towards democracy. But some people have slanted towards populism. They are opposed to government proposals. Well, let me talk to you about some Chinese characters. Pan-democrats. It means covering a certain scope. And the second one with us, which is share the same name, same sound, is example, and then rise. And then the fourth one, the last one, is defiance. They flout the law. They mislead people. I hope you will set aside your differences. Think about the big picture. Support the government. Support the proposal. This will benefit the people. 1972, I served the community voluntarily. It's been 40 years. I did it without any interruptions. Sometimes I oppose to the government when they do wrong. But I would be reasonable when I do it. What happened? They accepted my proposal, and my objection was validated.
I hope the government will listen to us. There are a lot of concerned groups, a lot of organizations in society. I have been involved in all these discussions since decades ago. I hope the HAD can organize a committee which will look at people's views. Now, in the 18 districts, I hope the HAD will select a few people who are interested in political topics, and then they can form this committee so that they can share the views of the community, and eventually a consensus can be reached. Ms. Chen Yu has raised her hand, so please be succinct and please focus on the theme of today's discussion. Yes, Mr. Tam, I would like to supplement. My name is Chen Yu. In Hong Kong, there are many opinion polls, and 60 to 7% of the interviewees support the government's proposal. If you veto this proposal, then we will be allowing the 1,200-member EC to control our election. And some foreign government officials have also asked us to pocket the present proposal. Those two women that dressed in yellow have now left. They object to the formation of the NC. The NC is actually something good. It can balance the different interests in Hong Kong, and it can help improve the relationship between Hong Kong and the CPG, and Hong Kong can progress in accordance with its capitalistic economy. And also it's broadly representative. Different members of different sectors will sit on the NC. So the NC would be representing a lot of people's views. This will be conducive to the relationship between the SAR and the CPG. Hong Kong people are smart, so I don't think we should set the threshold too low. Otherwise, the CE will be a leftist and people's view will be rightist. The opposition party should not decide on universal suffrage on behalf of the people. Do we want to be at a standstill? These people are telling the public a distorted story. This is not pragmatic. The mainstream view is that universal suffrage be implemented. The pan-democrats are really not doing anything to help. You should not object for the sake of objection. One person, one vote should be implemented so that Hong Kong can be more prosperous and stable. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong, if interests are to be balanced, I think only the triers would say this. Not many people would say things like this. We want to do good things. If you think that the NC should have 1,200 members, then you can nominate people for the NC. Well, you can even nominate a pig. So do you think the NC members should be returned through one person, one vote. And there is something laughable as to how the Communist Party views universal suffrage. Of course, it has its own opinion. However, universal suffrage is to be implemented in Hong Kong. So how Hong Kong people view universal suffrage is very important. And there must be procedures for us to do this. It's not like what you are doing now. When Mr. Albert Ho resigns and trigger a de facto referendum, you come out to vote. Tell us what you want is coming. It will happen sooner or later. So come out and vote. But you don't do that. And you are saying that you're the mainstream view. I really hate that. Last time we had a de facto referendum, you didn't come out to vote, and this time you are saying that you are the mainstream view. I think this is like a scoundrel. If you are a chess player but you never play chess, how can you call yourself a chess player? So the CPG or the Communist Party has the final say, but you should listen to people's views first. It's like that you go to a restaurant, the waiter asks you what do you want to eat, and you say that I want steak, but the waiter says that we do not sell steak. We are an Indian restaurant. Go to another restaurant. I go to another restaurant and I say I want pork, and they say that we are an Islam restaurant. We don't sell pork. So I think you are barbaric. Hong Kong people are going to vote. So this should be a universal suffrage system that Hong Kong people support. It's not the say of the CPG. So it's just like a child. A child says that he wants to go to a certain school, and then his parents say that this is not a good school. Do not go to this school. But what if the child runs away from home? But what if you beat the child up? You just tell the child that you cannot go to that school because you want to. I'm telling you, this is a paternal regime. I really regret that. Just now, the old gentleman talked about the different variations of a Chinese character. It's meaningless of doing all that. We should be talking about logic. Do you want fake democracy? No, that's not the way forward. So I want to ask you one more time. Do you agree that Hong Kong people should tell the CPG their views, and then it's the CPG's turn to tell us that this is not feasible? Or it's like what Mr. Ho Chun Yin says, the NC is very important. Well, you are returned by the agriculture and fisheries subsector. Even though it's a small circle election, there is an election. But a 50% threshold is unacceptable because these people choose first, and then we are only left with what they have chosen. In 2010, Tam Yu Chung said that the Democratic Party's proposal was unconstitutional, and Ms. Elsie Leung also said that was unconstitutional. And later on, Mr. Chen Kam-lam said that he had to vote with tears in his eyes. So I think when you say something, you have to be careful. And the Communist Party tell us what it thinks by the MPCSC August session, and now I know what it thinks. We have another session later on. And members have been given the chance to speak. We are not going into a debate because we will have ample opportunities to debate in the future. So now I'll allow Mr. Lemon Fei and Mr. Lai Chi-men to speak 1 minute each. Thank you. Just now when I spoke, there was no pan-democracy here. Now Mr. Lang Kwok-hong is here. It's great. I want to tell them. Now Hong Kong people really wants to elect their own CEs, so don't stifle this opportunity. Well, an election will move forward. It can be improved. We have another election several years afterwards, and we can fine-tune it. So let our people have one person, one vote in 2017 first. And later on, Mr. Leung Kwok Hong, you can work harder to achieve your great goals. But if you stop our people from having universal suffrage in 2017, I think that's a huge regret. I hope that Pan-Democrats can think twice. Mr. Lai Chi-man? Well, we are all Hong Kong people. Everyone has his own thinking. We shouldn't be just listening to what we want to hear. And for those we do not want to hear, you can say that's like a brainwashing. I think you should respect the citizens that are here today. We have taken our time to come here. Don't label us. Don't say that we have been brainwashed. This is humiliation. Don't say that we are pigs, we are dogs. This is not something good. Legislative members, you have a vote in your hands, and this vote belongs to your constituents that voted you in the first place. Some legislative members object to the proposal no matter what public opinions are. Do you call that democratic? Well, the time of this session is up. Okay, 1 minute. I would like to respond to Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. Just now, Mr. Leung Kwok Hong mentioned pigs and dogs. I would like to remind him, in the NC, there are members from the education sector, from the healthcare sector, etc. They are also Pan-Democrats, so they are also pigs and dogs. And just now you mentioned referendum. Referendum is unconstitutional. You are a legislative member. Don't you know that this is unconstitutional? Due to the time constraint, we have to get prepared for the next session. This session ends here. I would like to thank the representatives and deputations for attending our public hearing.